I need to work on is that to make it all fit in the car, I had to shorten kind of the sump area on the oil pan by I think almost an inch, which means that the oil pickup tube that fits inside didn't really fit properly. So what I'm going to do now is pull off the oil pan. We're going to take it out. I never ended up leak testing it at that time, so we'll clean it up, leak test it, make sure it's still good. Then I'll get the oil pickup tube, we'll bolt it on, and see how much we have to shorten it to make it work with the new shortened oil pan. So this is what the sump looks like after I had shortened it before. Obviously not the prettiest job, but it was a pretty complex shape with a lot of knurls that I was trying to make all work. So it worked okay, and I think it served the purpose that the oil drain is the lowest point, and that kind of maintains seal all the way through. So, but what I didn't do is on the inside. So oil pans always have a nice shiny coating on the inside. So when you look at the inside, I did not back weld the inside seams. So I'm pretty sure that if I tested this, it would leak there. So before I even go through that, I'm gonna re-weld the seam from the inside to make sure it's all nice and sealed, clean it all up, weld it all nice. Then I'll clean it up again, and then I'll get some of the spray paint kind of sealant for the inside of this and spray it again, because you don't want to have bare metal on the inside, because I guess I'm paranoid that it'll be coming up in the inside with metal shavings or rust or something like that. So this is the stock oil pickup tube. So what I ended up doing is this is how it looks stock, is about 6.5 inches of projection from kind of the mating surface of the oil pan to the block down to the pickup. I needed it to be shorter to match my new oil pan, so I took it on the bandsaw, chopped off about a 2.25 inch chunk here. Cleaned up the fitting all nice there. I know it's a bit oblong, but unfortunately the pickup here is a little bit bigger diameter, just with how the piece was that I cut off. You can see how it kind of flares out at the bottom there. So it lines up pretty good, and so I'll be welding this back on, and that'll shorten the pickup tube as short as I need it. So to start with, I cleaned off all the coating on the joints here, and I'll just buzz it up and get it nice and sealed. So the product I ended up with after the welding was I back welded on the inside to get it nice and ensure that it's sealed. So I think weld beads on the inside are decent enough to make sure that I don't have any leaks. Make sure I look for any spots where it looks like there's incomplete penetration, things like that. And then on the outside, so I guess I didn't mention this before, but bear in mind this was a stock pan that came off this truck. There were some dents in it. It is not a perfect shape, but other than being concerned about like leaks, things like that, I'm not overly fussed with the kind of the aesthetics of this pan. So there's different types of welds. Some are structural welds where you need good penetration and kind of you're putting them in for strength. Some are cosmetic welds where you're putting it in with the understanding you're going to be grinding half out. And then there's welds you just need to seal, damn it. And this is a tough piece of metal to seal to, because you've got paint on one side, you've got a coating on the inside. The way I fit the panels are not perfect, so I ended up having to run some pretty kind of decent sized beads, but I am 100% confident that this will not leak and that it'll work. So next step will be run the flapper disc over it, smooth it all down as best I can, get rid of all the lumps, then I'll clean it all up, prep it, and we'll put some paint on it. So this is the weld I ended up with on the pickup tube. Not my best work, but I think I'll be able to salvage it. So I went around numerous times, made sure that I caught up any spots that I could see kind of the existing seam. So I always like to weld from both sides whenever possible for trying to seal something like this. Kind of gives you 2 chances to make it right. But on this, because there's a screen on the pickup and this length of tube, there's no way to do it. So I put maybe a little bit extra material on the outside to make sure that it's sealed, but I'll run this through for the flapper disc and a sander, and I think it'll look pretty good and should seal no problem. Because when you think about it, the pickup tube coming out of the pan, this thing will run very little pressure. So honestly, if it's not perfect, that's okay. It's nice and rigid, won't move, and I didn't damage the screen or anything like that. So all in all, I think this will be just fine.